They said the station at Brookhaven would never open again, that its heartbeat had gone silent, like the world had forgotten it ever mattered. But every morning, before the sun rose, one window still glowed with light. An old woman's light, 81 years old, no trains, no passengers, just her, sweeping, dusting, remembering. They said she was crazy, they said she couldn't bring back the past. But what they didn't understand is that love doesn't retire, and purpose doesn't fade, not even when time tries to erase it. This isn't just a story about a train station. It's about Eleanor Finch and the kind of heart that refuses to stop beating, even when the world moves on. They said the old train station at Brookhaven would never open again. The tracks were rusted, the timetables blank, and the walls heavy with silence. The world had long since moved on. But every morning before the sun rose and before the city even began to breathe, a single light flickered in the window of the small office by Platform 3. It was her light, the last one left. Her name was Eleanor Finch, 81 years old, retired ticket clerk, forgotten by most, but remembered by the walls that had kept her secrets. For 50 years, Eleanor's life had revolved around those tracks. She knew the rhythm of the trains the way musicians know melody. She could tell which engine was coming by the vibration under her shoes. She had seen lovers say goodbye, soldiers return, children grow, and time stretch and fold like an accordion of stories. When the station closed, they gave her a certificate and a clock that no longer ticked. They told her to rest, to enjoy retirement, to find peace. But peace, she discovered, wasn't tea in the absence of work. It was in the purpose that made her wake up each day. So she stayed. Every dawn, Eleanor would unlock the gate that no one used, sweep the floors, and polish the brass clock above the entrance until it gleamed like memory. The people passing by in cars thought she was mad. Some said she was lonely. Some said she just didn't know how to let go. But Eleanor knew the truth. The station was part of her soul. And you don't abandon what you love just because the world forgets it. The seasons rolled through Brookhaven like trains that never stopped. Spring with its blossoms, summer with its heat, autumn with its golden sigh, and winter, which seemed to linger longer each year. And through it all, Eleanor kept her silent vigil. Sometimes she would sit on the bench where she once sold tickets and close her eyes. She could still hear it, the whistle, the chatter, the laughter, the echo of life that once pulsed through these walls. She missed it terribly, but what she missed most wasn't the trains or the people. It was the purpose, the feeling that she mattered, that her hands, though wrinkled now, still held the power to keep something moving. Then one morning, the fog was so thick it wrapped the station like a dream. Eleanor was dusting the sign that said Brookhaven Central when she heard it, faint at first, then unmistakable. A whistle, a real one. Her heart froze, her mind racing between memory and disbelief. Could it be? She stood still, broom trembling in her hand, and then, cutting through the mist like a ghost from time, came a light, golden and steady. A train. It wasn't a dream. Slowly, majestically, a gleaming new engine pulled into the station. The paint was fresh, the brass shining. Heritage Line, reopening soon. Eleanor's breath caught in her throat. A young man in a hard hat stepped down, startled to see her. "Ma'am, this area's closed," he said gently. "No one's supposed to be here." She smiled, the corners of her eyes crinkling like folded paper. "I've been here longer than the paint on these walls," she said softly. He laughed awkwardly. "We're restoring the station," he explained. "The town voted to reopen it as a museum and a working line. We start full renovations next month, but there's still so much to do." Eleanor's eyes gleamed with something fierce and familiar. "Then you'd better let me help," she said. The next morning she returned, broom in one hand, thermos in the other. The workers chuckled, thinking it was a one-time visit. But she came again, and soon they stopped laughing. because the truth was she knew the place better than any blueprint could show. She told them where the roof leaked, how to oil the clock's gears, how the floorboards creaked when the trains were late. She became the quiet heartbeat of the restoration. Word spread. The town that had once turned its back on the station began to remember. Retirees brought sandwiches, children painted signs, teenagers played music where the ticket booth used to be. The station, once silent, began to hum again, not with machinery, but with life. And at the center of it all stood Eleanor, small and steady, like a conductor who had never dropped the baton. She moved slower now, her knees protesting with each step, but her smile never faltered. When someone asked why she kept coming, she'd just say, "Because something beautiful deserves to be seen again." The day of the reopening arrived bright and windy. Balloons danced along the platform, and the mayor gave a speech about progress and community. But everyone knew the truth. This wasn't progress. This was homecoming, and the person who had made it possible wasn't wearing a suit or holding scissors. She was standing by the bell rope, her hands trembling slightly, but her eyes glowing like fire. When they asked her to ring the departure bell, the crowd fell silent. Eleanor pulled the rope, and the sound rang through the valley, clear, deep, eternal. The first train in 20 years hissed to life. Steam rolled across the platform, mixing with tears, laughter, and applause. For a moment, time folded in on itself. She could see it all, the children waving from the windows, the soldiers tipping their hats, the mothers clutching goodbye letters. The life that had filled these walls came rushing back, not as ghosts, but as gratitude. The town cheered, cameras flashed, but Eleanor just stood still, her hand on the bell, whispering a silent thank you. That evening, after the crowd had gone, she sat alone on her favorite bench. The sunset poured gold across the tracks. The station clock ticked softly above her. For the first time in decades, it was keeping perfect time. A young boy approached, the same boy who used to ride his bike by the fence and wave at her. He held out a folded paper. "I drew something for you," he said shyly. She opened it and smiled. It was her, standing beside the train, surrounded by light. At the bottom, the boy had written, "Eleanor Finch, the heart of Brookhaven." She pressed the drawing to her chest. "You've got it wrong, dear," she whispered. "The heart of Brookhaven is all of us." The next morning, the workers arrived early, but Eleanor wasn't there. They found her later, sitting peacefully on her bench, her hands folded in her lap, the drawing still in her arms. The clock above her ticked on, steady as ever. The station bell rang once, though no one pulled the rope. That evening, as the train passed through Brookhaven, the engineer swore he saw a light in the window of the office near platform 3. A warm, golden glow flickering like a heartbeat. Some said it was the sun, some said it was imagination. But the boy who had given her the drawing knew better, because every night since then, the light still shines. Not bright enough to guide a train, but bright enough to remind anyone passing by that love doesn't end when the doors close. It simply changes carriages. They said the station at Brookhaven would never open again. But one woman, 81 years old, forgotten by time, refused to let the heartbeat of her town fade, and in doing so she proved that purpose doesn't retire, and love never leaves the platform. And if you listen closely, beneath the rumble of the tracks and the sigh of the wind, you can still hear her voice, gentle as morning light, whispering through the halls she kept alive. "Keep your light burning. The world still needs it." They said she stayed behind because she was lonely. But maybe she stayed because she remembered something the rest of us forgot. That meaning isn't in what we have, it's in what we keep alive. When the world gave up, she kept the lights on, and in doing so, she reminded us that it's never too late to build something beautiful again. Her station became more than a place. It became a heartbeat, a memory, a proof that one person's love can wake an entire town. So if you ever feel like your time has passed, or that no one needs what you have to give, remember her. Remember the light that still shines in the window at Brookhaven, because purpose doesn't retire. It just finds a new track. And somewhere, between the rails and the wind, Eleanor's voice still whispers, soft, certain, and eternal. Keep your light burning, the world still needs it.